Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back to the stage, Kristen Waggoner.
Well, we have so much to be grateful for tonight, and we are especially thankful for Tish and her remarkable voice, as well as her courageous voice that she's used on behalf of women and girls. So thank you, Tish. Yes. I can talk, but I can't sing like that. That was beautiful. As we think about tonight, this is indeed a civilizational moment. And the question before us is, will we remain free to live by the truth that we are created male and female? Or will we surrender to the lie that sex can be chosen and is changeable? For Alliance Defending Freedom, our faith in Christ and our commitment to ensuring that all might be free guides our legal advocacy around the world. We believe that men and women are created in the image of God, wonderfully, fearfully, equal in dignity, and yet different in design. And that design is good, and it's worthy of celebration. And science and reason confirm the same. Men and women possess real and enduring biological and physiological differences. Every generation faces critical battles, and this is one of the most critical we face together. It is one we cannot afford to lose. We must win. Because when the law ignores reality, there is a real human cost. And you heard about the jurisprudence tonight at the today in the Supreme Court, but you also need to think about the victims that result when bad policy is in place. Children become medical experiments and lifelong patients, even though the science actually shows us that roughly 90% of young children who experience distress about their sex actually find peace if they're allowed to develop naturally. And parents have become sidelined as more than 6,000 public schools across America are enabling activists, teachers, and counselors to socially transition children behind their parents' backs. And of course, as we heard, in the name of progress, women and girls have been abandoned. They have been forced to lose and to surrender equal opportunities. There's really no one that is actually left untouched in this battle. So righting these wrongs, I want to remind you tonight, requires truth and kindness. And it is not loving to tell precious children that their bodies are a mistake. And it is not just to deny women equal opportunity. And compassion that denies reality is not compassion at all. It leads to harm. History teaches us a painful lesson that when societies abandon truth, they do not become more compassionate. They become confused and even authoritarian. In the darkest years of the Soviet regime, Alexander Solzhenitsyn urged the ordinary people in his country to take a step of courage, and it was to refuse to participate in the lie, because that is how those lies lose their power. And those of you who are here tonight, you took that step. You drew the line, and you said, the lie will not live through me. And many in this room tonight, they risked their reputations, their careers, and their livelihoods. Others endured censorship, hostility, and indescribable loss. We know that this is bigger than medals. Those are important, but it's bigger. This is bigger than trophies. The truth is on trial, and the truth is whether the law can recognize biological reality, and that is worth fighting for. So I want to thank you. The leaders in this room, all of you, you have seen injustice and you did not flinch. You raised your voices for the generation that is here and the next one to come. And today I hope you heard that your voices were heard at the United States Supreme Court and in the hallways and outside that court. For 50 years, women have fought for and have won great opportunities. Sports have opened doors to colleges, to confidence, and to the competitive spirit that propels women in every arena of life. Even in our mothering, as we're called to shape the souls, educate the minds, and actually help develop the consciences of our kids. No one should be able to take that away. And yet, in West Virginia, as one example, one boy defeated 423 girls more than 1,100 times. Worldwide, reports say that men have displaced women in the top 3 medals and finishes close to 10,000 times since they started counting, and took nearly 900 medals away from women, as you saw in the display outside when you entered the room. We can't fully restore what was taken. There's no speech that you'll hear, no court decision that can undo that harm that was inflicted when those in power tell girls to sit down, to stay quiet, and to just accept the injustice. But we can absolutely make sure it ends, that it ends here in our time. Because truth is a stubborn thing, and it will not be silenced forever. It waits for people who are brave enough to speak it. And when spoken with courage and with kindness, it illuminates darkness. It exposes lies. The light does that and calls forth that which endures and which will lead to true human flourishing. And this is why we're here. So we will tell our grandchildren this. When women's sports were on the line, we stood united. And when equal opportunity for women was threatened, we fought. And when silence was demanded, we chose to speak. Today matters greatly. But let me just tell you, tomorrow does as well. Whether we win or we lose these cases, we must continue to contend for truth. We must uproot the devastating lie, and this is the moment we are called to do so. So tonight, we will hear about the legal arguments that occurred in the courtroom today. We're going to hear about the impact on women and girls and the fight that is still ahead. But first, I want to remember that moments like this don't solely happen because of one person, one institution, one organization, or even one state. It takes an alliance. I will never forget watching a young woman from Connecticut tell her story on national television at a time when coaches, when schools, officials, many so-called pro-women's groups chose to look away. And that woman was Selena Soule. She was one of the very first to tell her story, and we're going to watch a brief clip.
And also tonight, an update to a story we brought you last month about 2 transgender girls competing in high school track in Connecticut. On February 16th, Terry Miller and Andrea Yearwood took first and second place in the State Open Indoor Women's Track Championships, even though they are biological males. They today identify, they say, as girls. Now, one of the girls participating in that race, Selena Soule, finished in 8th place, missing out on a chance to compete in front of college coaches by just 2 spots. She said this is about competing versus Miller and Yearwood. And she said, we all know the outcome of the race before it even starts. It's demoralizing. Well, here now herself, Selena Soule.
It's very frustrating because I know I have put in, some of my friends and fellow competitors have put in so much time and effort to take down our times and to compete ourselves better, but we are not physically able to be competitive against someone who is biologically a male.
Selena and her teammates Lana Smith, Chelsea Mitchell, and Ashley Nicoletti stood when so many others had not done so yet. And boys took 4 state championships from Chelsea. 15 state championships overall were lost by those 2 boys, and 85 opportunities for girls to advance were gone. These young women knew that it was wrong, and they stood up and they pushed back in that moment. So tonight, we want to honor them, and I want to honor their courageous mothers, Christy, Bianca, Cheryl, and Jennifer, who stood beside their daughters when they knew it was hard, when it was lonely, and when it was costly to do so. And each of those mothers benefited from the promises of Title IX as well. So will you please join me in honoring these women? Thank you. You guys know you did it, right? Yeah. You know you did it. That was good. Good. Bless you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. You can go ahead. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you. What began with a few high school girls became a national reckoning, and across the country, women started to speak, not because it was easy, but because it was right. Stories poured in, medals lost, scholarships denied, coaches silenced, privacy violated, injuries suffered, championships gone forever. But they spoke when silence was demanded, and they stood when powerful institutions told them to sit down. And today, dozens of women spoke about their experiences outside the Supreme Court. Women like Riley Gaines, Brooke Slusser, Peyton McNabb, Paula Scanlon, whose names deserve to be remembered for their courage. And tonight, many of these courageous female athletes and coaches who challenged the hostile state governments, who challenged the Biden administration, and even the NCAA are with us. So if you are one of those athletes or those coaches who stood for women's sports in a lawsuit, will you please join me on stage using the stairs on either sides of the stage? Come on. These are the girls that led. There's more. Let's double up here. I'm going to get to the side. You can come on down. Keep going. There's still more that haven't even made it up to the stage. Come on, come on, come on. Let's double up. Come on. We got to get a picture of this. Imagine being this young and needing to put your name on the line and your reputation and being willing to do so at this kind of level. We are so very grateful. In many ways, it is the young who have led the movement initially, and we're very, very, very thankful for your leadership. God bless you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It's hard to believe that it takes that many lawsuits and that many women to stand, but it does, and I believe that their stand will be rewarded. C.S. Lewis once said that courage is the form of every virtue at its testing point, and so today we also want to honor a woman who embodied that courage. After hearing the stories of girls like Chelsea and Selena, she became the very first lawmaker in the nation to introduce legislation protecting women's sports. With persistence and grit, you know what I'm going to say next, qualities that may have been honed by playing and coaching Division I basketball, she helped make Idaho the first state in the nation to enact a fairness in women's sports law. And she did not stop there. She shared her wisdom and experience with legislators across the country, and many of you helped testify in support of those laws. And because of leaders like her, today, 27 states are protecting women's sports. So will you please join me in thanking Idaho Representative Barbara Ehart. Thank you.
You guys have been
so
awesome.
grateful. No, you led this thing. And it was a scary moment. I remember it. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. You can go ahead and exit that way. Thank you. More courageous lawmakers followed, and men and women who put into law what common sense, fairness, and science demand, which is that girls deserve their own sports. If you are a legislator who worked to pass one of these laws, if you are an advocate who stood in support of those laws and testified in favor of them, will you please stand so that we can also show our gratitude to you? These lawmakers, they put their reputations on the line for truth, and it might seem like that was an easy thing to do today, but let me tell you, 5 years ago, different world. As did the amazing governors who signed these bills into law. Tonight, we also want to recognize the Trump administration for its leadership in defending women's sports, which sent a clear and a long overdue message. A message to women and to girls which says your rights matter. Since taking office last year, the administration affirmed that there are only two sexes and women deserve their own sports and their own spaces. Central to this leadership to protect women's sports has been U.S. Secretary of Education Linda McMahon, Domestic Policy Council Director Vince Haley, and others from the administration who are here with us tonight. Will you please join me in thanking them and welcome Secretary McMahon to share a few words with us?